At the time I'm writing this review, I've around 43 hours playtime and played up until the second ending. After all its playtime, I can say that NieR Replicant version 1.2247 is a great game. The gameplay feels smooth, the combat system is fast and rewarding, and the music is magnificent. But if you don't know what exactly NieR Replicant version 1.2247 is, let me tell you. NieR Replicant version 1.2247 is a version upgrade to the original NieR, which was released back in 2010. A version upgrade is something between a remaster and a remake, or this is at least what Yoko Taro calls the game. Let's start with some general information about the game NieR. The story of the game is about a kind-hearted boy who's trying to save his sister Yona from an illness called Black Scrawl. Together with Grimoire Weiss, a strange talking tome, he goes on a journey to find the sealed verses in order to save his sister. If you played the Western version of the original game, you might get a bit confused about the protagonist, because the relationship between the protagonist and Yona wasn't brother and sister, it was father and sister. In Japan there were two versions of the game released, NieR Replicant and NieR Gestalt. In NieR Replicant, the relationship was brother and sister, and in NieR Gestalt, father and sister. And because the father-sister relationship was more appealing for the Western market, they decided to only release the NieR Gestalt version of the game in America and Europe. They also changed the name from NieR Gestalt to simply NieR. With NieR Replicant version 1.2247, Western people are finally able to play as brother instead of father, without having to purchase a Japanese version of the game or emulating it. There are only two real differences between NieR Replicant and NieR Gestalt. The first is, like I said, the different relationships to Yona, and the second is the time they are playing in, but other than that, they are the same. So, let's talk about the game itself. Like I said at the beginning of the video, the game is great. The Steam tags of the game are RPG, action, story-rich, and great soundtrack, which are describing the game perfectly. Gameplay-wise, you sometimes notice that the original game is 11 years old, because sometimes it feels a bit outdated for today, which is something I personally like. It gives the game a certain charm to it. Even though the side quests are a bit repetitive, they are still fun. Some of them are mocking the game designs from the time and making fun of them. Others are more serious and more emotional. Overall, they are fun to do, despite that some are boring. But what can you do when you're not busy doing quests? You can kill some shakes, or maybe some sheeps. You can kill a whole lot of different enemies, which then are dropping materials that you need to upgrade your weapons. Speaking of killing stuff, the combat system is different from the original one. It got faster and is more similar to the one in NieR Automata. There are still the three different types of weapon, which you can choose from: the one-hander, the two-hander, and the spear. Each of the types have their pros and cons. If you find sealed verses, Grimoire Weiss is able to use new spells, which you then can use to kill more stuff. If you had enough from killing enemies and innocent sheeps, there are other things to do. For example, you can go fishing or cultivating your garden. There's a small fishing minigame. You can also use different baits to catch different fishes. The minigame itself isn't that hard. You just need to pull your joystick to the opposite direction of the fish position. The gardening is pretty simple. You buy a seed, you plant it, give it sometimes water, and wait until it's fully grown. When the plant is fully grown, there are two options you can do. You can either harvest the plant or you wait. If you harvest it, you get obviously the plant itself. But if you wait, you get some new seeds, which you can then plant again. There's even a chance that you get new seeds when you have different plants beside each other. Something you can also do is just walk around and be amazed how amazing this game looks and take screenshots. But not only the environment looks insane, the characters are looking so fucking good. There are some cutscenes where the characters are looking a bit strange, but overall they look so damn good. And don't get me started about how amazing the spell particles are looking. They are so beautiful with all the lightning and everything. I could make a whole video about how much I love the look of the spells. There are in general a bunch of small details that make the game look insane. For example, if you make the finisher with the two-hander, there's blood dripping from the blade afterwards, which is such a cool little detail. But the big question now is, how good is the performance of the game? I'm playing on PC, so I can't say for the consoles, but it should be fine on PS4 and Xbox. It runs smoothly on my PC with around 60 to 80 frames per second. The specs of my PC are an Intel i7 8086K, a RTX 2080 and 16GB of RAM. I also installed it on my SSD, so I have a fairly decent PC. The GPU usage is most of the time around 40%. However, I saw a lot of people complaining in the Steam reviews that the game is running like crap, just like it was with NieR Automata. So it's hard to say if you're going to have frame rate problems or not. But you can already install the special K-mod, which should improve your frame rate, just like it did with NieR Automata. However, there is a bug where the game is running in double speed, if you have high frame rate. But there's also a mod that fixes that issues. I'm going to link the special K Discord server in the description, where you can find the download for the mod. I'm also going to link the high frame rate fix in the description, so if you have any frame rate issues, make sure to install the mods. Talking about issues, there was no game-breaking bug that I encountered so far. The only bug that I knew that I had for sure was a little cutscene bug. The other bug that I'm not 100% sure if it's a bug or not was a loading screen that I got. I think I shouldn't have seen that loading screen that early in the game, because it contains some story stuff which was only revealed later in the story. But like I said before, I didn't encounter any game-breaking bugs or glitches, and I don't see any reports of bugs on the internet. Well, there is a frame rate bug, but there's already a fix for it, so... And finally, the music. It's just beautiful. The music is a solid 12 out of 10. It's hard to describe the feeling that the soundtrack of NieR Replicant gives you. Actually, this goes for every Drakengard and NieR soundtrack. The feelings you get from listening to them is something special, something only a few musicians can achieve. The music fits perfectly into every moment. The ambient music makes you just wanting to walk around and enjoying the scenery and the music. The battle music makes every fight even more interesting and special, and the sad music makes every sad moment so much more emotional. They rearranged all soundtracks from the original one and changed them a bit, and I really like the newly arranged versions of the track. So, the conclusion of this video is, you should definitely play NieR Replicant. If you love NieR Automata, you're going to love NieR Replicant as well. It's also worth replaying it when you played the original one and you're not sure if you should play it again or not. A lot of quality of life changes were made, and they added a whole bunch of new stuff to explore. When you never played the Yoko Taro game, this is the perfect game to start with. It's maybe a bit slow at the beginning, but give it some time and you're going to love it. Thanks for watching, I hope this review helped you a bit, and if you have any improvements for me, please let me know in the comments. I'm always happy about feedback, and yeah, I hope you have a good rest of the day. See you in another video. Bye. Oh yeah, you might get depression when you're playing it, but it's worth the depression.